All right, welcome back to another podcast. Today we're going to be diving in a little deeper on what happened over the weekend. Joining me, of course, is Evan Aldo, one of our traders that comes in over on the main channel. But Evan, welcome into the show.
Always a pleasure to be on with you, Paul. Really excited. First podcast episode.
Yeah, so you've got a chance to kind of see what happened over the weekend. I want to bring up a couple of points that hit home for me, at least. One, of course, was this little tweet right here by Richard Tang, which, by the way, I unfollowed him on this little BS that was going on. But last 24 hours, turbulent for the crypto market. Basically, it came in, we don't make excuses. We listen closely, learn from what happened, and we're committed to doing better. I don't know how many people got wrecked on that alone, but the amount of action that I saw over the weekend on wrecked traders was at just the biggest level ever. First of all, were you in any shorts or any kind of crazy leverage?
No, I mean, I was in so I was not trading on Binance. I've never actually traded on Binance. I was in two longs that did get stopped out and two
Yeah,
longs that were already in profit that did get stopped out. So, I mean, I was not liquidated on Binance. If people are not familiar, some stops didn't even get triggered and they just
right.
went straight to liquidation points. This is the first time I've heard of that ever happening on an exchange since the pandemic, since COVID. I think when Binance is the only exchange I heard about that actually happening on. Every other exchange, if you had a stop loss in, you would have just gotten stopped out.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I think it's pretty obvious some hanky panky was going on with Binance.
I just don't understand why at this stage in the game these exchanges are trying to pull this crap. It just makes no sense. And eventually this is going to backfire on them. It's going to open up all these opportunities for these, whether it's centralized exchanges or DeFi in general, that is going to completely eat this market up. And I think this is a problem going forward. By the way, today we're going to chart XLM, XRP. We'll get into some of the potential higher side for XRP. We'll also take a look at ETH, Bitcoin, and a handful of other things. But this was my tweet over the weekend. And to me, or this morning, was basically to talk about the and I would say this is the most suspicious 72 hours in trade war and crypto history. Friday, 4 p.m., China announced the rare earth. That basically started the cascade. Then we saw MP Materials and USA Rare Earth immediately soar. Crypto liquidations, 19 to 20 billion. 1.6 million traders got liquidated. Bitcoin alone held up 5.3 billion in terms of liquidations. ETH was 4.4. Solana was 2.01. Trump also threatened tariffs by November 1st, 100% tariffs. Of course, that started an exchange between him and Xi. We had max panic in the market, max volume, and then Sunday, both sides walk it back. This smells to high heaven because it feels like it was that right there. It was just orchestrated for volatility. I don't know who knew this script or who was involved in this, but this was nasty in terms of the market in general. Do you know anybody that got hurt on this, Evan? Anybody that got hurt on your side?
No one personally. And the thing that I will say too here is if you were trading at Binance is a KYC exchange. So people
Mhm.
in the US, unless you have like some foreign residency somewhere, which is some people do that,
Yeah.
but Binance is pretty strict on that too. You need to like prove a foreign address too. So I would say most of the people that probably really got, unfortunately taken advantage of here were probably in Europe and Asia. So
Yeah.
most people in the US, fortunately, probably were
Might have
not
sidestepped it. Yeah.
yeah, we're
Other
not on
than
this, so
maybe
I
the
don't know anyone.
panic selling, because there was some panic sells on Coinbase and on Gemini quite a bit in terms of just people trying to exit, thinking that this was going
Mhm,
to, 89,000, I think was the target that people were looking at for Bitcoin, which it never got even close. So,
mm,
and XRP was kind of acting up as well over the weekend. We'll dive into that and take a look at that. A couple of things before we get into the charts. Prediction markets now betting that we could see the longest potential government shutdown that we've ever had. If you look at Polymarket, let me kind of share my screen here.
yep,
One of the things to watch here on Polymarket is this right here. couple of issues. This is how many days will the federal government be shut down? If you look at this right here, this skyrocketed right here to where we would have a 30+ day shutdown, over 60%. But look where we were just over. I mean, look at that, guys. We were talking about on the 11th and the 10th. Last week, we were at like, what, 42%? And it was really starting to decline a little bit, I think. And then, of course, over the weekend, that skyrocketed up to 67%. So that, along with this right here on the Fed decision, because you got the Fed decision coming in right there. Now, quarter point for this month coming up to 92%. December, if we look at December, still holding at a 73% potential. And even January, holding at a 60%. So we could see 3 consecutive rate cuts in the market right now, Evan. Do you think this is the environment for an all-time high in October and we're going to primarily stay with the 3 biggest assets, ETH, Bitcoin, and XRP. Where do you think each of those will hold up, let's say, by October and end of month? We'll talk about XRP at the end, but what about Bitcoin?
So yeah, I mean, the first thing I'll say about Bitcoin before we even look at the charts, which is crazy to believe after all this, but just 7 days ago, Bitcoin made a new all-time high. Just about a week
Yep.
ago, Bitcoin made
Yep.
a new all-time high. And it potentially could make a new all-time high by the end of the month. Now, if we go into the chart here, if we look at, for October, let's look at our daily right here. You're getting a nice green Heikin-Ashi candle. You're forming what looks to be a trigger wave here in the daily. Last time you had something like that was during this pullback in June. So it looks like kind of a similar situation like this. And you've been in this range since July 10th. It's been months in this range. You're not going to go sideways here forever. You're either going to break upward and at least get up to 130 or lose this area and break downward back to, 104. And I think in all likelihood, you should break upward to 130. I think that would be a really good goal into the end of the month. If you look at where this trend line intersects with this big level of 130, October 31st, maybe early November, in all likelihood, potentially a new all-time high for Bitcoin here into November. And then hopefully, if things could continue, a lot of this markets looked like 2017 into 2018. So that would bring a high of potentially December. Looking at where some of these places intersect, I can see, 150K. That would be my high for the year at some point in December if it plays out like 2017. So I think my low would be 130 for a potential
Right.
October peak by the end of the month. That's 18 months after the Bitcoin halving, which is always when, we generally peak. If it gets extended, potentially up to 154. And I think ETH will follow. And I think, when you look at, I'll just look briefly at others versus Bitcoin. This is everything off top 10 market cap. This is an important chart. Look at that wick downward right there.
Yeah.
This was right when things got the ball running in January of 2021. That was your altcoin season there. And I think this cycles looked, like I said, a lot more like 2017 into 2018. Look right here. In October, you saw your first bottom, little lower bottom in December. That's altcoins against Bitcoin. Then you had a big jump up. So, it's like the last bull has turned bearish here, it looks like. And then you may see altcoins do very well in quarter 4, just like they did back in quarter 4, 2023, quarter 4, 2024 as well. So I am very optimistic for altcoins and for the crypto market in general over the next 3 months. I believe that the betting odds are still for a pause for the rate cuts in January. I believe that's when we're going to see the next pause. We saw the pause January of this year. What did that mark? That marked the end of everything. So if it plays out like that, it probably will be a peak sometime in December or January. So yeah.
Well, I think you've got a couple of points that are playing into this in the overall market. One to watch is where precious metals hold up in terms of Bitcoin. We had what was it? Larry Fink went on 60 Minutes over the weekend, and he basically said, through all this volatility, he basically said, "Hey, Bitcoin is an equal asset to gold." I don't think Peter Schiff wanted to hear that, and they put out, I think they're trying to position crypto as the 12th sector and them becoming the leader. If you look at the all-time high on gold right here, just to kind of show you guys what we're comparing this against. And in many cases, gold and silver kind of parallel with what's happening in some of these other markets. One, of course, is XRP. We'll talk about it in a second. But Do you think that gold could start to slide a little bit as we get past this, say, 41, or do you feel like gold's going to take it all the way up to 5,000, like what Schiff is talking about? What's your thought there?
I I think that gold will see a pullback. You could be getting very close to the yearly high for gold. Now, the interesting thing about gold and silver here is I think part of the reason why they've been jumping up, not entirely, but part of it is because you're seeing the government shutdown. That's a
Mhm.
lack of confidence. Once the government shutdown ends, and I think it'll probably end by early November within a few weeks, that could mark the yearly high for gold. I think there's a lot of big wigs too that are looking for some exit liquidity here for
Yeah,
gold.
for sure.
From
Yeah.
HSBC, Ray Dalio. It's like the 1970s. We're going 10x. You know what I mean? Yeah, I have a feeling he wants to. He's looking for some exit liquidity potentially. I think gold will still do well in the coming years, but I could see a 20 to 30% correction in 2026, along with probably crypto, correcting along with a lot of other things as well. So I think once you see the government shutdown end, a lot of momentum will go into crypto instead of gold. I'd be
100%.
looking at at least a 20% pullback for gold before I
Well,
want to get in.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's with in line with what a couple of some of the big traders out there have said. One, of course, is Peter Brandt. He put out this statement right here, basically issuing a bullish verdict right now. This was as of this morning, or as of Sunday, yesterday. Verdict on Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, and XLM. We're going to take a look at ETH next. Then we'll take a look at XLM and XRP. But if you look at where he is now turning bullish, this was after we saw 16 billion in liquidation across these big assets, and you can compare what his belief is that we're in a minor reaction to what some of these global and macroeconomic conditions are playing out, primarily the trade war. But do you think that, first of all, do you agree with his bullish prediction on those four assets with Bitcoin, ETH, XLM, and XRP?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, XLM would be the riskiest out of that. I'm curious why. I mean, no one's really talked about that lately. That didn't even make a new all-time high in the last bull run. I mean, that's going to be 10 times more riskier, I think, than buying Bitcoin, ETH, and XRP. I mean, it still could absolutely do well, but
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I think the crypto market in general will do really well. I mean, the XLM thing seems kind of random to me, but yeah.
Well, there people are I think are pointing at this. This right here is the fifth wave. I think is what they call this. And I probably should have all in crypto on because he's a big XLM guy. Fifth wave rally eyes on about 144 before year end. What would it take to get a 144 XLM by year end?
Let's take a look at the chart there. So XLM, the big thing here, you made a lower high in this bull run in 2021, after 2018. You made a lower high so far back in November of 24. You haven't even got there. $1.44. I mean, I'll give you that. It's a big fib level. I think you need to break above your old all-time high from 2018 at a dollar first. If we look at where this could go, like sure, yeah, you could probably get up to 60 cents, an easy double. If you break above that, I mean, theoretically you could go higher. I think this is very risky business, though. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
You would need some. I mean, it's not really. It's looking more like here, like October 20. Like, look at what happened. Bitcoin made a new all-time high in October, November 21. This just fell off a cliff. You know what I mean? Last time, so it looks very similar to this era. I'd be very cautious, extremely cautious with this. Be very careful. That's
Yeah.
what I would say.
Let's flip over to ETH for a minute, because if you consider where ETH is right now, and I think a lot of people maybe got a chance. I was buying the dip on XRP where I could get it, and also on Ethereum. When you look at Ethereum right now, Evan, where it's priced as of this morning on the 13th, we'll probably post this video later today or first thing in the morning.
Mhm.
What do you feel like is October opportunity for ETH?
Ethereum is good. I mean, the fact that if you could see here, fact that you just pumped above 4,000, you're back into that old range. In all likelihood, and you tagged a huge area right here around 3,700. That's the big place to hold, and I think you'll easily hold that. You're either going to break upward or break downward. In all likelihood, you're forming the trigger wave on the daily. That looks pretty good right here. Green Heiken Ashi candle on the daily as well. in all likelihood, your next technical target is going to be around 5,800. Now, it may be a little bit too optimistic to say that you're going to hit it by the end of October, but it actually doesn't look that far fetched to get up to 5,800. And then if you can extend this cycle past October into November, December, you're still looking at my, dream really good target of 7,300 right there. So I think ETH looks really good. If we look also at ETH versus Bitcoin, I think you had your correction there. You tagged that same point, November 21 of 24, big area right there. I know you did break down here, but I think this time you're going to hold and continue forward on your ETH Bitcoin evaluation. So I think that Ethereum right now is like really, really, really good bang for your buck. And I think that you got a really good shot into the end of the year of outperforming Bitcoin by like 50%. Bitcoin
Right.
gets up to 130 to 150. I could easily see Ethereum at 7,300, a big outperformer against Bitcoin there. So I'm very
Okay.
optimistic.
Against Bitcoin, that would be the play in looking at that. And right now, I mean, if it's, where Ethereum is trading a little bit above 4,100 after seeing some pretty nice lows over the weekend, which I hope that you guys got a chance to buy some of these dips. And listen, the first thing I will tell you, and I think most of you know this right now, is that buying these dips, a lot of times, if you have this much faith in the crypto market and you're this far in right now, why were you not buying those dips is the question. If you didn't get more XRP bagged in, if you didn't go with the Ethereum play, or maybe even some of the other ones, some people I know like Hedera and even Stellar to a certain extent. But I mean, look at BNB right now. This thing's trading at 1,200, almost $1,300 right now. And it's up on the 7 day, still up 4%. So that, along with what we're seeing, I think, with the rest of the market, is very intriguing to me of where we could be by year end. Which right now, maybe that was the last one. Do you think we'll see another flush out here before end of year?
I mean, I don't think it would happen like within the next few weeks, maybe November. I do think you will see a lot of volatility. If you compare it to the end of 2017, just insane volatility. I think there's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
excitement and a lot of volatility. It depends how you define a flush out. I don't think you're going to see anything as crazy as what we just saw, but you will see volatility, absolutely.
Well, look for black swan events.
Mhm.
You've got this APEC summit coming up with Xi and Trump. And I mean, things could come out of there very nicely, but I call it a 50-50 chance right now of us getting
Mhm.
some sort of deal with China. If anything, I think they kick it down the can down the road. I think the real question mark is going to be how does this play into the Fed rate cuts, the Clarity Act, which is going to be monumental if they can pull it off, even though the Democrats have been doing some
Mhm.
shenanigans to try to stop it, primarily because of the banking lobby. Let's just be honest. We
Right.
know that's what's happening. But my DC insiders that I have this weekend, I got on the phone with a handful of these guys and I said, first of all, tell me what the F just happened, because something did not work right here. And who knew about what was going to go on here? Was this being traded from the streets of DC is what I felt like in terms
Mhm.
of some of these moves. Because, I mean, did you see some of the trades over on Hyperliquid? I mean, it's like they
Oh
opened up
yeah,
an account the first day, that one day, 90 plus million, I think, in profit was one trader.
yeah.
Never had a Hyperliquid account, and all of a sudden it's there. Very interesting moves.
Oh yeah, just I mean it's just that it's that kind of legal gray area for a lot of these things too. I mean the same thing could you see it so much on Poly Market too.
Yeah,
I mean
yeah.
you'll see I think within the next 5 to 7 years you'll see regulation kind of end and
It's that
those,
I think they're, DC is making their last ditch
yeah.
effort to continue to F the market with
Oh
their
yeah.
insider trading. Um, let's jump over to XRP real quick. I want to showcase a couple of things here because there's some good news out there with XRP. XRP reclaiming market momentum, another 30 billion in fresh inflows, so could be a little bit of a rally. And if you look at one of the things that was in here, this is a lot of consolidation after a few weeks, but yet at the same time we had a little bit of movement, so it's up I think almost 4% on this morning. But it is still a major cornerstone of the market and continues to hold this number three lock position. If you also consider this right here, which is 66 from its price crash in terms of growth, 75 billion in market value right there. You look at this on the rebound around, what was it, 258 on the lows, adding another 75 billion to its market cap. This is all after a 35% volume surge, which was huge around that. The real question is did anybody get it on these kinds of dips right here? Did you get it on that dip right there? If you look at this.
No, I mean I have all the crypto I want right now. I didn't have any limit orders in. I
Yeah,
mean, but yeah, if you had limit orders in, you would have been good. I mean,
you
obviously,
would have had it.
the
Yeah.
only pro of this is if you had lower limit orders than on Binance, you would have
You wouldn't have
everything
got it
would have
anyway.
yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So, Evan, when you look at the XRP chart as it is right now and the comparison, could this, first of all, do you think its all-time high is coming end of this year? Some XRP analysts are now pushing into Q1. What is your thought right now?
It could be Q1, similar to 2017 into 2018. It's hard to say. When we look at the chart, what I can tell you is, this 4 day, it looks pretty similar to this rally here. The same general thing. You're most likely going to get a big jump up. I don't know if it's going to be as crazy as October 24, but you look at previous years here. And I mean, let's look at that was October 24. Let's look at where it was, yeah. October 23, like it's at least going to be a jump like this. That's like
Yeah.
bare minimum from where we are right now. I think that would put you at a slight new all-time high 380. That would be my low. If you can see more than that, I think a big area would be $4. If you can break above that, the highest I could see us going this year or into January would probably be like six, this fib level, low sixes to be that area. So a little over a double potentially. I mean, it's tough to say, but I think you got a like a very high probability of potentially tagging $4. This big pocket right here, 430 to 450. That's a huge area. If you can break above that, $6 is big. So yeah, I mean, I would say the odds of a new all-time high by end of year probably at least 80%. Odds of like
Wow.
$4, 60, 70%. Odds of $6, that's like 50, 50 probably 40%, honestly. Like my guess would be around $4, but I know the XRP army gets kind of mad when I say like only $4. But yeah,
Well, that's a 55% move right now. If you go to $4, if it makes it up to $6, which is kind of your outside, that's a 135% move right now from where it's trading
yeah,
right now. So that's a pretty significant amount. Again, a lot of this is still not knowing what we're seeing in terms of what could play out when you think about just the issue with XRP in general is some of the bigger narratives. And of course, that's the thing that I don't, those are almost black swan events to the positive side that could create a lot of activity around XRP. And if you just look at the inflows right now, because obviously it's trading, what is it? It's up 2%. Is it the leader right now on the day?
it
Yeah, it's
could
close
be.
to the leader outside of ADA. SWE is up
Mm,
2%. And I'm talking about, top 20 tokens. Looks like it might be the leader on the day. So that is my point. I want to showcase something real quick here with you guys because this is something that we're tracking pretty heavily on XRP. Let me share my screen for you and bring that in. Share this one right here. Is this right here. When you get into the volatility that we saw in this little rundown, which if you were able to get it, under $2, kudos to you. Let me know, by the way, in the comments if you were able to buy any XRP under $2. But the point that I'm getting at is this right here. Let me kind of zoom in on this because this is our indicator. The interesting scenario that's playing out is this trade volume sentiment is exceedingly high, even though
mhm.
we haven't seen an overall average above 50, which is really what I'm looking for. If we get above 50 right there on this trade indicator in terms of sentiment, this could be an indicator to Evan's point is that it might be the slot and the push into $4 going forward. So
Yeah,
toward the end of the year. And I think, as we start to look at markets in general, you look at, I think, just where we are today. What are we trading? Market cap at 3.8 trillion. Let me share this for you guys just to kind of catch everybody up because it's a little crazy. 3.8 trillion right now, holding with Bitcoin trading at 114. Fear and greed still very low right now, and altcoin season still way under what we've anticipated. Do you feel like this could push into 2026 for altcoins? Okay. What are your thoughts?
Early, it could go until probably January of 2026. I mean, the thing with all that index right there on Coin Market Cap was
Yeah.
it was almost into altcoin season before we kind of had this correction a few weeks ago. So
Yeah.
that could move up back up quickly to finally see an altcoin season in like November, December, that kind of area, potentially into January. Fear and greed, like you mentioned, if you look at that chart, it's like a double bottom. So I think that's probably bottomed out unless we make a lower low on Bitcoin or ETH, which I think is unlikely now. I think fear and greed is a double bottom. We have not been in extreme greed since like December or January, December of last year or January this year. We're well overdue for some extreme greed. And I think it's kind of a no brainer that the next time you come into extreme greed, which probably would happen end in November, December at the earliest, January the latest, that would be like a very strong signal, very
Yeah.
strong sell signal, in my opinion.
Well, it was it was last November, obviously when the crypto market was at its most, at least on the extreme greed side. So we
Mm.
definitely are not in there, and still Bitcoin trading at 114, XRP nearing in on $3 again. I mean, this is very interesting times right now as we look forward. Are you buying anything toward the end of the year, or are you locked in right now?
I mean, I bought most of the altcoins and everything I wanted like end of 23, early 2024. I would consider, buying, some of that. I mean, if you're very light, it is a good, very good bet right now. You know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah.
kind of like everybody. I think the sad part of it is like a lot of people that they want to buy the dip right now. They may not have. They may have gotten liquidated. They're just too scared. Like sentiment is just so negative about altcoins right now. If I didn't have anything, I would be buying like a well diversified portfolio of altcoins. I have everything I want. I mean, some that I really like right now: Chainlink, Avalanche. I mean, Ethereum, especially low risk there, very high reward potential. I mean, XRP, obviously. Like, I think all the ones we talked about and the decent fundamental ones in like the top 20, like you got a good shot of a 2 to 3x
Yeah.
by early next year.
Avalanche way down right now at $22. I mean, that took the biggest hit. It was 25% down on the week. So
Yeah,
pretty
but it
big.
recovered. It recovered. Now it's still above like its bottom on ETH, I believe, and its bottom on
Yeah.
Bitcoin, if I'm not. So it's
Yeah.
kind of look at it like like I'm not even looking at anything on the Binance charts. I just look at it on the Coinbase charts now because
Yeah.
yeah, when you look at that
You
Binance, you just
can't
get
believe the
annoyed.
Binance charts
Yeah,
anymore.
it's
That's
it's just
basically what
so
you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, Avalanche is going to be interesting to key. I think for key, I'm still looking at Sui. Um, grab some XRP this weekend, grab some ETH this weekend, buying more dips wherever I can. When some of these things start to move in that. I think I'm still looking though, because I haven't, other than a handful of, degenerate altcoins that I
Mhm.
play in. I won't share our portfolio on this show. By the way, you guys should watch the PBN show. Evan's going to be on later this week, and we're going to share that portfolio, Evan. So we'll take a look.
Yeah.
Where do you think it is? I'm just kind of curious. Do you know?
Right now it's probably down like maybe 10 to 20%. I don't think anything too terrible because,
It's down 10.
Solana, yeah,
Yeah,
10%. Okay, I got that right. Yeah.
yeah, down 10.
Not bad at all considering, you know what I
Oh,
mean? Considering,
considering the market, are you kidding me? I felt kind of relieved that it was not down more than 10%. So we'll share that with you guys if you want to catch out Evan's discussion on that, because we'll get into that. I think you're on Friday. Is that right? Or
yes. Yep.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So
this
Friday
Friday. Yeah.
this week, we could see some big movements out there too, but we'll share that portfolio that showcases a lot of what we do over there. All right. So, and by the way, guys, if you are not following Evan over on his channel, make sure and do that. Let me bring it up real quick. Just go over to Evan Aldo on YouTube. 21.8. Man, baby,
Almost
you
there.
are in. You're looking good over there. I like that. Get in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good. I like it. Check out Evan Aldo over there. Just hit subscribe right now. And of course, Evan will get you next time right here on the show for sure. We'll have you back to do some more trading because I think here on the pod it's a little different. It's a lot more casual.
Yeah.
Yeah, not as much. And plus, we don't. I mean, yes, there's some news in it, but we don't do it and drill it in like a news report. It's a lot more
Yeah.
conversation. Anyway, hey, thanks for coming in today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Great to be on. I like the really cool with the pod. Yeah.
I like it. All right, guys, we'll catch you next time right here on the XRP Pod. Take care.